All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Get settled in. We are waiting for everyone to arrive and, get the party going. But here we are to talk about, once again, some more Bible related fun. We're looking at the topic of divination tonight. Divination is a big thing. People get very confused about what it is, whether it's allowed, what tools you can use, all that kind of stuff. So, as all of my other friends join in there, hello, 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 everyone. As everyone gets in together, we're gonna start talking about all that kind of stuff. There is Hannah. Hello. What's going on?
Oh, okay. There we go.
What's up, fam? Hello, hello.
Hello.
Getting ready to do it. Oh my god, I am so sore.
What'd you
It
do?
was it was it was upper body day, so
Ah,
I keep I keep failing my lifts. I try to like push to 3 rounds of like 10 of like 45 on each hand chest press, and I keep failing like halfway through in the middle set. So I'm like,
oh no.
fucking. I've been stuck there forever. It's because I'm small and my joints can't handle it.
Same. So we're waiting on Lena. Did Mimi say she was running a little late?
I know that she just popped in, so I'm sending them invites, and TikTok as being the wonderful app that it is. There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Hey.
Uh, oh, fucking Christ, hang on.
Hello, Mimo.
Oh my gosh, why is my video
Hi,
not
what's going
working?
on?
You gotta actually press the button now. It doesn't
Yeah.
auto join you on the fuck ever.
Hello.
There we go. We all
Oh.
made it without incident. Perfect.
We did it.
You think without incident.
My phones are in
Well,
cascade.
we're here within 5 minutes, and that counts to me
Yeah,
as we're all here on time.
we did it.
That's that's fair.
I would
That's fair.
I would not survive in Japan where you got it like I don't know if you're on time you're late. Oh my god, I would not be able to do it.
Like, so that was me for most of high school because in marching band, because we were a statewide competitive marching band, you were there 10 minutes early or you had to go run laps with the football players.
Oh
Nobody
no.
wanted to fucking do that in the Georgia heat. So we were on. So, and then when I was in debate, because you had round pairings and then you had postings, you had to be in there 5 to 10 minutes before round started to prep your stuff. Because I did policy debate, which is a fucking its own goddamn thing. Like most things that are like state debate and national debate now in high school and college are like Lincoln Douglas style debate, which is like kind of like what you see in Congress. What I was doing was like actually writing policies to be debated over to like it's fucking it was obnoxious. But anyway, yeah, my whole life is if I'm not there 10 minutes early, then I'm obviously late and I like panic and make myself cry.
Oh no.
No, I have the anxiety of my mom, but like the time management of my dad who
Yeah.
manages to like if he has 4 hours to get ready for something, he will not do it until the last 10 minutes and then be really frantic out the door. So, oops. Also, the
Yeah,
concept of competitive marching band is insane because marching band was definitely just a way for band class to not get its funding cut for me. So I would just we had the community hot chocolate at football games where like the entire team, the entire band would share 1 cup of hot chocolate.
that's
It was
hilarious.
Oh.
great. Yeah, you got the end of the cup and you just got like this cold cup of chocolatey backwash. It was awesome.
Ew.
Ah.
That reminds me of my first Rocky Horror Picture Show event.
See, I was a choir kid and I
Oh, okay, okay. We have a very
Choir was
cranky
fun.
booth
Choir
today.
was fun. But all right, so if we are all here, we can get
Oh,
to the meat and potatoes of the day, which is divination. Hell yeah. So, I don't
Divination.
know who wants to start first, or if we want to like talk about the Bible verses first, or the misconceptions. We could start so many places.
yeah, there's lots of divination in the Bible. Um, I'm gonna again, oh, we
Oh
lost.
no,
What happened?
we lost a couple of them. I don't know. They might have accidentally closed out. They'll probably be back
They
in a
will re-
second.
I will continue until they reappear, I guess. So I'm gonna go back to when we were talking. Okay, here's Lena.
Sorry, I'm trying to use my iPhone to go live. I just got a new phone, but I'm trying to still use my iPhone for TikTok instead of like. So I don't know why that happened.
You are fine. We gotta figure out where Mimi went, but
He's in the chat, like there.
There we go. Got
And
her.
he's like,
We're
"Help!"
good. How are we having these technical difficulties tonight? As far as I know, Mercury is not in retrograde.
No, Mercury's not in the microwave, but it is the Aries new moon, so you
not
think
until
about fucking up.
Yeah, I gotta do something with that later.
okay.
So I was talking, and it just, and then I tried to rejoin, and it was like, no, you can't join. And I'm like, why not TikTok? Why can't I
Okay. Alright.
Okay. Going back to the whole definition thing, the it goes back to like Deuteronomy
join?
have all the commandments and Leviticus and whatnot, where it basically says don't do divination. It all goes back to don't do the same thing as the Canaanites because the Hebrew Canaanites did not get along in that time when that is taking place. So, and that even in, I don't have it on hand right now, but the Jewish Annotated Study Bible says that in the annotations and the margins. Like, this is specifically referring to the Canaanites. So that's why you see those verses that say don't do divination. It doesn't mean don't do it at all, just don't do what the people that are killing each other are doing, kind of. But there's
Yeah.
lots of other examples of people doing divination in the Bible that we can discuss.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
especially because, like, a lot of the banned practices specifically, and, like, oh my god, there's so many different theories as to what certain words mean, because some Hebrew translations, one of them that people think is connected to casting lots, which would make sense, literally just means distributes distributions. So don't be a person who distributes distributions. Like, what the hell does that actually mean? No one really knows. But a lot of the things that were actually banned in terms of divination were certain styles. So they were saying, like, don't get really zooted off
Hang
your
on.
ass, put an animal bone in your mouth, and try to channel the animal spirit through your
No,
mouth.
they can't.
Also,
We're gonna
don't
get
put
banned.
bodily
Quit pulling
fluids
my
in your
shirt up.
eye to see the future. Like, there were many very specific things that, unless you are just trying to set yourself up for pink eye, I don't think you need to worry about. So that
Yeah.
when it comes to actual divination in the Bible, a lot of the Israelites, there was actually one that was explicitly commanded of the priests, and that is Urim and Thummim, and it is literally just like two stones, one that says yes and one that says no.
Mm-hmm.
And if they really couldn't butt heads and figure out a law together, they would go to the temple, have the priests ask a question, and pull out one of these stones, yes or no. And that was God literally giving them the answer. Because they didn't have a king. The king was
Yeah.
God. God was the one directly giving these answers out.
Oh, we lost Lena again. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my iPhone. It's been fucky all day. So my point of it, so there's two things. Number one, when they talk about, you can't do divination and things like that, my personal belief is that while God specifically says you can't know all the things, for your human brain, you cannot know all the things. Your head will explode.
Oh, I think it's just an iPhone thing. Do you have
What?
an iPhone or an
I
Android?
have a phone and everything's working fine.
I don't know. I don't know. That's really weird today. That
Okay,
their
Lena,
iPhones are kind of
so you gotta put Lena back in. We apologize for the
the odd
technical difficulty.
technical difficulties
You
today.
gotta invite me back in.
Okay, I'm on my Android now, so let's
There.
see if this like what
I'm
the
telling you,
hell?
I'm gonna be on my Android high horse in a minute because
Like, nah, that's
Excuse
some
there.
me,
bullshit.
no. I hate this thing. The emojis are so ugly. The notes app is confusing. Like, I'm not a
Come
fan,
on,
okay? I like my
Nah.
bitchy little iPhone, but she ran out of memory and I needed a cheap phone that had a lot of memory, so
So
I have an
the
Android.
I miss my
yeah.
Android a lot, but I use the FaceTime with everybody. That's the
Mm-hmm.
only reason why. That's literally the only reason. Because my husband, whose family is in Portugal, who is native Spanish speaking, it's really fucking hard to get them to understand how to use WhatsApps and Skype. Do you understand? Like, oh, so we just fucking
Yeah.
all went face. Yeah, it's FaceTime, real easy. Press one button.
Yeah.
But so anyway, God says you can't understand all the things. Even many of us who are in the awful new agey shit says you can't understand all the things until you have ascended to the 5G and you radiate microwaves.
5G.
Oh my
Which is
god.
physically impossible, right? So, because when you are divining and you are asking for insight, we are asking for guidance from the Holy Spirit. This is my opinion. Remember, this is my opinion. This is what I have found works. So I'm asking for guidance from the Holy Spirit, from Jesus, asking for assistance in something that they have given to me. So whether they put something on my heart, they've made me think about a thought all day. And I mean, like, these are random thoughts. I should not be thinking about that thought. Where the fuck did that come from? Not ADHD bad, but like literally oh, okay, this is a scary thing. And when you go and do that, you're asking for that insight. You're asking for help. You're not asking to know all the things. So when I'm going to go on a tirade here for a second, but like, that's okay. We don't want to do that. We're going to get banned. That's why I keep getting it, because I'm nursing on things. So it keeps kicking me off because it sees half side boob. That's what this is.
TikTok's like, nah.
But yeah, like I could go on and on about like personal influence and how it's used, and even how they're teaching divination, bibliomancy. They're telling you to go pray and open up your Bible and whatever's there, read that, and that's what you need to know from God. Baby, that's divination. You just did magic. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's divination.
Like,
The
oh,
way
I got
they define
I got notes.
you know, the
God.
way people I've seen people define divination in very interesting ways. I've had people accuse me of trying to be God by telling the future, and it's like I have this little tarot planner here where I literally like pull a card a day, and it's the questions I ask are like, all right, God, what do you want me to focus on today?
Yeah.
If God doesn't
It's
want you
never.
to know, He's not going to tell you. It's very simple.
Yeah.
The
I
close,
never.
the
Oops.
closest
Sorry.
question I would ever ask that would be like telling the future is like, am I gonna be okay? Like when I'm stressed. Those are the kinds of future questions that I like.
Yeah. And
And
the answer to that question is always yes.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
I
yeah.
just need that little bit of extra assurance, or like
Hmm.
your deity is listening to you, God, who, you need that extra layer of assurance sometimes. But in, usually when I do my tarot readings for clients, it is always being like, hey, like you're probably heading down an okay path, but I have like, don't take this as like fact too, so I think it's okay to have that balance as long as you acknowledge that it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, your
My thing is
choices
like,
can affect the outcome, yeah.
it's like, where should I put my energy going forward? What
Right.
obstacle do I have to overcome that I need to focus on, instead of getting overwhelmed by all the little pebbles? What mountain am I supposed to be looking at? And that's
Exactly.
not asking for the future. That's literally just asking, God, please grant me the strength and serenity to know the difference, and whatever the hell else that prayer is. But that's
Whatever the
literally,
hell.
people ask in their prayers the same things we ask, and they're upset because they're like, God never talks to me. I never get an answer. But he can't speak your language. If you're not listening, he's not going to speak the language.
Exactly. Right.
We gotta
Yeah.
use things our brain understands. Does your dog understand? Like, okay. So you know that whole thing where like dogs can understand different languages depending on how you're training
Hmm.
them, right? So if I have a dog who speaks English, if I speak Spanish at it, he won't understand his command, and he will need me to translate and figure out what that is, and
Yeah.
use other signs and symbols and body language to do so. And I feel like God, because we don't speak God, do not eat my hair. That we she's had a rough day, you guys. They blew out both veins to get her blood work done today, so she's been super cranky
Oh,
all day.
that's good though.
So,
But oh, by
but
the way, for everyone who asked, that's the Ritual planner. Ritual is really cool. They have a lot of really cool planners. You can
and
just see their website. But
we have a lot of verses to go over. So it depends on, like, this is just our opinion on what we're doing so far, like how we view divination when it comes to our practice so far. We will get to the Yeah, I feel like if God really wanted me to know the lottery answers, he would give me a better opportunity to work. Because
Yeah.
it does, I mean, it even says in the Bible, and it does, and it's one of those things you kind of like sneer at older people for saying, like, God helps those who helps himself. It's because God is like, hey, here's your opportunity, take it. Take it, here you go. It's right here. Just take it. Oh, you didn't take this one? Okay. Well, I know you still want what you're needing, so here's another opportunity. Take. Oh, you're not gonna take this one? Okay, all right.
Yeah,
You
God's like
want
trying to
lottery numbers?
underhand
What the
pass you the
fuck?
thing.
Like, yeah.
Hmm.
Where in the Bible does it say witchcraft isn't an abomination?
Okay. Again.
Literally in any of the places that it mandates people to use ritual, like Leviticus 14. If I describe to you a ritual where I kill one bird and dip another bird in its blood and start playing with hyssop and cedar and red thread, you would think that's some Hollywood-esque witchcraft, but that is literally commanded of the Levite priests to cure
Hmm.
people with leprosy. Like,
This is
Hmm.
this is
ta-da.
her favorite toy, by the way.
And again,
Florida
in
water.
the Jewish Annotated Study Bible, when you're looking at the verses on witchcraft, it'll say in the margins, this is specifically referring to Canaanite traditions, but the Jewish traditions of the time were perfectly okay. So context and historical analysis are important.
Nope,
So, okay, so
that's a
there's
healing
actually a
ritual.
New
That's a
Testament
healing
verse
ritual.
that we could talk about in Acts of the Apostles, which is what in Acts of the Apostles 1:25 and 26, where they obviously, Judas, after he ratted out Jesus, he unalived himself. He was filled with guilt. And the disciples were torn between two different people that they wanted to be the next disciple. They were torn between this guy named, I think, Barabbas, and I forgot what the other guy was, but Matthias. They ended up casting lots between the two of them, which is basically dice divination to see who Jesus wanted as the new 12th disciple, and it ended up being Matthias. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think if they're doing it in Acts, is it really that wrong? That's the New Testament. That's the disciples, the people who worked right with Jesus. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, again, all a divination really is a way to commune with your god. If you don't have that, you end up like all of these evangelicals who just obsessively read the Bible and try to twist ancient
Give her
scripture
here.
to fit modern perspectives. It's kind of silly. It doesn't really work. What the heck is this baby? She really is like really happy to be out.
This baby's not a happy camper today.
Not. So,
All right. But as I was saying, yeah, witchcraft is a big no. Nowhere do I believe God is good with it. Well, that's your opinion, but if you actually look into any of the history, the archaeology, the politics, you do find it. In fact, my own
Yeah.
Bible, I was reading the Gospel of Mark, and my own Bible's like, there may have been theological reasons for the Gospels to try really hard to differentiate miracle from magic, but anyone who was a Gentile reading Mark's Gospel would be able to identify the types of miracles Jesus is doing because they are literally bar for bar the same as Greek magical spells of that era.
Hmm.
That was written so that Gentiles could be like, oh, okay, he's doing magic. It is very, very simple. But at the time, actually, this is really funny. Pagans and Christians alike would fight each other by accusing each other of sorcery. So
Yeah.
obviously, Christians had an incentive to try and differentiate witchcraft or just magic in general from miracle.
Hmm.
They're all the same, it's just semantics.
If you read
so
the Jewish Annotated New Testament, which is a version of the New Testament analyzed by rabbis to put it into historical context of ancient Judaism, there are essays in the back that talk about magic and supernatural entities that were like used in reference at the time. You got to look at historical context.
And so,
all right.
yeah,
So
then these I agree. My opinion doesn't matter either. That's why we use scholarship. So, if you want to say the Bible is how you live, you should actually know the Bible in and out, the culture, the context, the politics, the history, the people. You can't just read the English version and expect to be good with that. Sorry.
No, and the people who say things like that are genuinely the people who like read maybe John 3:16 every once in a while and then go listen to their pastor speak. Like that's really the narrow-minded perspective. If you are not willing to nobody's asking you to change your opinion. The only thing people are asking you is to like take a step back and look at the context, like who the Bible was speaking to, what the time was speaking to, and like what resources were available to those certain people, right? So like if you look at it from that holistic perspective, you're going to get a different a different story. Like even in Bible college, they teach about like ritualistic aspects of the Bible. They teach about the like reincarnation and things like that as well, because there is there's alludement to it in the Bible. They wouldn't be talking about it if it wasn't like a thing. You know what I'm saying?
And also a side note, over half of the people who go to seminary to study, drop out for a crisis of faith because everything that they knew has been challenged and taught. Because you are shown the opposite. You are shown the cultural context. You are shown all these things that people don't know how, where, or even want to look. If it's not easy to access, it's not easy to digest, they keep it for their priests and pastors to shepherd, to counsel, but for the most part, it's not as easily accessible to us unless you know where you're looking or you have somebody who's in the clergy helping you. So the point where people are just like, show me where it is in the Bible, show me where it is in the Bible. Baby, your New King James Version is a fan fiction.
Oh my god, yeah, the King
Yeah.
James Version says this.
I love
But
that.
I enjoy having That's Odd here because he's giving us good content. So all the places that the Bible allegedly says witchcraft, and it's really funny. If you actually go into open Bible study and you type in witchcraft, you don't actually get a lot of verses that
Oh,
outright say witchcraft. You get maybe a couple, and they specifically have
Yeah.
to deal with like certain types of practitioners, which boils down to like poisoning, drug abuse. The Romans used to smear drugs on their eyes so they could trip balls and see their gods, things like that.
yep.
And just basically any magic that wasn't state sanctioned, because neighboring nations didn't like unauthorized practitioners either. The Mechashepa of Exodus is specifically from Sumerian Kashapu, most likely, and it means just anyone who brings demons and hexes. The court magicians of the same tribes, the same peoples, were saying, ew, you guys are doing like weird low level peasant dirty magic that's causing problems. I'm doing the official, super high sanctioned, super cool court magic. There's just really a lot of classism and misogyny involved in those things. It's not like
Yep.
all magic is
We can't
bad.
we can't forget that most of the folk magic where people were called witches is actually folk magic and healing magic, midwifery, and things like that. Because, like you said, the dirty peasants were doing it, and that was not of the higher court. That's what these people did to survive. They had just as much faith. Now, here's another important part, because people are getting antsy, and I have a fucking answer. My ADHD isn't going to. Y'all want a Bible verse? I want y'all to go to Acts 2. We're going to talk about Pentecost. Hello and welcome to my fucking lesson. So here's the thing. The sermon that is given about the virtues of the Holy Spirit, about the fruits of the Holy Spirit, the gifts of the Holy Spirit, was made up by somebody, a priest in the
Thank you.
1200s named Thomas Aquinas. What he did was he took these gifts of the Holy Spirit that are described not only in Isaiah, but also in Acts, that is given to the new disciples to go out. That is a way for us to understand and divine, literally in his specific notes, written out. It's I got this from a Catholic friend who is working on priesthood, who has decided to share notes with me. So let me get my notes out. All right. He laid out the gifts that were extolled, which align with the theology of God being the explanation for all divine phenomenon and all spooky, witchy stuff. If you can't figure it out, this is how we figured out it's God, through the Holy Spirit. Congratulations. Now, once that was done, that is through discernment and intuition. Hello, Brenya. Now, saying that using your discernment and intuition to talk to God, how are you going to know it's God talking back to you? Oh, that's witchcraft if you use any other tool. If you use prayer. Joseph using his dreams, that was witchcraft. But was it? It was God. If we are using it, he is currently doing. He goes to the Orthodox church that my husband's family went to, and he's working through them right now. I don't remember what it's called, but it's up in Denver. It's up in Danbury, Connecticut. Um, so
Well, that's
anyway,
closest to me.
yeah. So
It's like in
I
between
don't.
us.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I don't know
that
what
actually
order.
literally is like the midpoint point between
Yeah.
us, pretty much.
So like I don't know exactly what order it is. I just we chit chat here and there because he's just like, oh, it's really cool that you're doing this. I'm proud of you. There.
Cool.
So when we're coming back to that, once in Isaiah when it's talking about your discernment and intuition, and that is going to expand on how you understand and show your gifts of the Spirit. Once that's done, we have that divine guide. It was given to us, okay? So just as Jesus used the interference, or not interference, what is it called? It's not the divine intervention from God to do things like heal. And God left us the Holy Spirit. God promised the Holy Spirit would be here. The Holy Spirit came, poured gifts out, which include, your healing, your knowledge, your wisdom, and intuition. It also has things like teaching. So not everybody can teach, but a lot of people who do teach are the ones who take that gift given to them. And it's not a fun gift to fucking have, let me just tell you.
No, it really isn't. Oh.
So when you have these, this is this is the overall of how we have this. And divination is just as much learning how to pray, learning to trust your intuition and work with it through the Holy Spirit. This is the Holy
Hmm.
Spirit talking to us through God. The
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Somebody asked a question about
yeah,
like the why the men that find baby Jesus, weren't they doing witchcraft? Like, yeah.
they were
They
doing
gave him like
astrology.
they were doing astrology. They were like literally doing divination. They followed the big
The
stars,
stars.
and astrologers themselves have feel like they have pinpointed a rough estimate of like time that Jesus was probably born based on the types of conjunctions that were in the sky. But they were basically seeing probably seeing a conjunction of like three major planets within the sky, which was creating that like North Star effect. And
You
because
may
they
not
knew
have
the
this.
meanings behind each of the zodiac signs and the planets and the placements and the conjunctions and like all of the different aspects that were in the sky, they
Hang on.
knew who they were looking for and what they were looking for. But the biggest
Hang on.
misconception, though, is that they came to Jesus when he was a baby. They actually started their travels when he was a baby, but got to him when he was around 2 years old. So it did take them a while to do that. But yeah, they were magi, they were magic, and they did a lot of, oh gosh, what's that? Zoroastrianism. That's most likely what they practiced.
Yeah, so they were essentially on that kind of stuff. There was a couple things
They
in the
were
comments, real quick. I
witches,
wanted
kind of.
a
Yeah,
couple things
for
in the
magic.
comments. First, white and black magic. We try not to use these terms because there's a lot of racial connotations with these. There is no such thing as good and bad magic. Honestly, it's all depending on what you're trying to do with it. Like a knife is a very neutral tool. If you stab someone with it, that's pretty bad. If you chop up some meat for dinner, that's pretty good. Depends on what you're doing with it.
Yeah.
Second of all, I noticed someone said that there was an issue with praying over the tarot. The devil card came out. I still do tarot. I just rebuke it.
Do you
The
know what
the
do
devil
you know what the
card
devil
has a
card stands
specific
for?
meaning. I
The
mean, well,
devil card
again, this is
means to
like I'm not
let
I'm not
go of control. Doesn't mean that the devil's after you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so like not to be like harsh or nothing, but when a certain card comes out, like the devil or death, like people pull death and think they're literally gonna die. No, death means that you're going through a transformation. Something is going to rest, and something is being born in its place. Likewise, the devil is about vice. It's about breaking out of bad habits. It's about letting go of things that don't serve you. So
mhm.
if you're getting the devil card, my favorite way to get the devil is reversed, obviously, but like it's still a sign that there's something you got to work on if that just pops out.
And if it's
Yep.
scaring you, perhaps the thing you need to release is some relief around devil and snake imagery. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Jesus is my favorite chain breaker. Jesus is my favorite one to let go of stuff. He's
Love that.
beautiful on it.
So another, since we're talking more about like divination in the Bible, I forget his name. Was it Joseph in
Yeah.
Genesis?
Oh, Joseph in Genesis.
Dreams and the yeah.
Hmm.
He had a very colorful coat.
Joseph in the Technicolor trench coat. Yes.
Yes.
Don't eat that. Don't eat that. Oh my gosh.
I
Hang on
love
one second.
Joseph's story for multiple reasons. I love Joseph because not only was he like a diviner, he did dream prophesying. At one point, he was his brothers sold him into slavery, and he basically became a prisoner in Egypt. And the reason that he was able to get himself out of prison and he ended up being like one of the Pharaoh's like right hand men was because he was accurately predicting dreams. And when he would predict them, he would say, "My power comes from God, my power comes from God." Then in Genesis 44, verses like 5 through 15, it's alluded to the fact that he has some sort of silver cup that he uses to predict the future. So just based on where that was in, geographically and the point of history, he was probably doing some sort of tea leaf readings with that, with the cup and like, or scrying within the bowl. But I also like Joseph, not only because he was like a really witchy example, but he also is like an example of queer people in the Bible because there are evidence that the technicolor coat that he was given was actually some sort of like feminine garment that may have not been typically what a man at the time would have worn. And the whole like the theory is that the reason his brothers like threw him into slavery or sold him into slavery was not necessarily because they were jealous over his coat and of the favor that he had from his father, but they because he was favored and still like acting feminine. So that's like, there's a lot of interesting stuff about Joseph.
That's really cool. I didn't
I
know
love
about
that.
that actually. I read
That's
Genesis,
actually,
but I
so
feel
if you
like I
don't
didn't
know a
read
lot
Moses
about
before,
that
so yeah.
one, there's a podcast episode I really like. It's called the Yas Jesus podcast. And if you literally just look up like YAS as Jesus and then like Joseph and the Technicolor coat, you'll find the episode. They've like rebroadcasted it like 3 times. It's a fantastic episode.
Nice.
But yeah, no. Someone asked, "Oh, is God okay with tarot?" I've seen so many people comment on this all the time. You don't need tools. You don't need this and that. It's like, yes, I know, but like for like imagine you say to someone with like ADHD, like you don't need these certain tools to help you focus. That's what it's
Hmm.
like to me. Because sure, I don't need tarot, but God is absolutely fine with me using it because He knows that I'm a space cadet. He knows that I will be distracted, and channeling, like just raw dogging that mediation, is kind of difficult. Like, I'll
Yeah.
absolutely space out and be thinking about what I'm going to make for dinner, completely forget what God just said to me. If I have the tarot cards in front of me, I could just look at it again and be like, oh yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Can't. My phone keeps falling down. Yeah, I don't know. I think that tarot can just be used as an extra a way to get more specific. Like, okay,
Hmm.
you're sending some good vibes my way, but what does this mean? Because I've been going through a really hard time. I need more specifics. And you do tarot or pendulum or osteomancy is a big thing in my practice. Gosh, I can't get my phone to stand up. Um, whatever, tool you want to use, but it's just a tool. So
Yeah. Speaking of tools that we use in our practice, do
Oh,
we want to go around and share with the class what tools we like and like our favorite decks and whatnot,
yeah, if
and
I
tools
can
and whatnot?
get to stop. Gosh, my little stand won't stop moving, but you guys go.
Sarah, do you want to go
Go first?
first?
Oh, okay. I mean,
Yes, hang on. One person
yeah,
asked,
sure.
God still loves me. I'm LGBTQ. Yes, look at my pride
Yes.
flag.
Listen
Yes.
to the Yes Jesus podcast.
and we also talked about it on our
Absolutely.
spiritual purity thing. It's on Sarah's YouTube.
Yeah.
All of these uploaded onto my YouTube as well. A few past few that we've done so far. Uh, go around, I guess, with divination. I am definitely, and this is pretty much my favorite deck, tarot. This one, my boyfriend doesn't stuff, but he still saw this deck on Kickstarter and got it. So that was very sweet, and the art is just cool. It's very much like
Oh
a
yeah.
really death art. I noticed that Lucifer this deck the most when I talk to him, so I'm always having to let him borrow it. So I don't know, just be like the default demon deck at some point. But yeah, really use other types of decks. I know there are, but it's really just for me a combination of this and for yes, my pendulum. And otherwise, straight meditation because I have a very overactivation. It makes it easy to see things and like actually get those snaps of phrases. That's a pain in the ass most of the time. So I just use makes it like a lot easier.
All right. That's yeah, I used to be really into like doing like hour-long meditations with like the visions and shit, and I just don't have the time and can't clear my mind that much anymore. I want to get back into it, but yeah, I just haven't been able to do that as much. I am also just a tarot girly. I have a million decks. I have a whole shelf full of just tarot decks, and I don't need that many, but I enjoy collecting them. This specifically is the deck that I use for Jesus. It's the Everyday Tarot. But like all of my, I have so many decks that like all of the deities and entities in my space have their own deck. So I have a lot, but for people who are interested in learning tarot, and this is the deck that I use with my clients, I have a tarot deck with keywords on it. So this is the Soulless Divinity Tarot, and
Mhm.
I have to hold my phone stand with one hand. So I'm trying to like do all of this one-handed, but when you pull it out, it has the words on it. So that's probably my favorite. And then I do bone throws in my osteomancy practice, but that's more so like client based. I don't use that for me too often. Um, when I'm looking for answers for me, I definitely use tarot the most.
Mhm. Cool. I also read a lot of tarot. So personally for me, like for beginner decks, people who want to learn how to read tarot, I recommend using the Light Seers Tarot deck or the Wandering Star Tarot deck. Like Hannah's tarot deck, the Wandering Star has keywords on it, which I really like. However, I also like the fact that this deck is also really relatable with the imagery, and I feel like every single picture here like truly tells a story that that is influenced by what the card means, or at least like gives me some sort of idea of like how I'm supposed to read that particular card from this deck. Um, the other deck that I recommend for beginners, and this is like my personal favorite to use with Jesus. These are both to my like, I like using these ones with Jesus, but like my personal favorite and the one that I use for me when I do like talking to Jesus readings for myself. I use the Light Seers Tarot deck. This Light Seers deck like has every single type of person that you can imagine in here. There's queer couples in here. There's people of color. There's like every single. It reflects every day. For me, it looks like the world that's around me, and that's what I like, and that's what I want from a tarot deck. And I just also feel like every single one of these cards like really tell a descriptive story, not only with the imagery of what the person's doing in the card, but with the colors, with like everything that's around it. It shows like exactly what the card's supposed to mean and like the vibe that you're supposed to get from the tarot deck. Um,
Okay, sorry guys. I don't know what it is, if it's my internet, if it's something else, but like this is a little. Okay, I got the internet crunch that time. I don't know what that was about, but
Okay.
okay.
Ooh, thanks to
A
everyone
little
who's
bit of
gifts. We appreciate it.
yes. Thank you everyone very much.
Yeah, everybody just
Yeah,
got
I
kicked
don't.
out. Also, if you can't focus on this, give it a couple of days and it's going to be up on Sarah's YouTube. She's got that link on her profile.
Sorry guys. I don't know. I think it's either my internet because everything was kind of like a little slow and freezy, and then TikTok said, "You know what? I give up." And
All good.
So you were talking about your tarot deck. You were just finished talking about the Light Seers Tarot.
Okay, sorry. Um, why am I apologizing for the internet not working? That's a new thing I'm working on. But I'm not somebody who has like different decks for every single one of my deities because one, just having that much stuff overwhelming for me. And two, some of my deities don't like to really talk to me via tarot. Like God himself is not a tarot girly for me. He's really like more astrology based. Or like I do oracle with him. Ashra, I'll do oracle with, or like astrology. I feel like, or I'll just go out into the woods and like
Same.
use the woods as divinate. Oh my gosh,
Like,
is this?
really
Am I
big
through? Okay,
tarot.
sorry, my phone like froze for a second. But yeah, they
It's
like
an
Astro and
interesting
God. I don't really
mechanic.
use tarot decks with. Yeah, I guess. But I'll use like this Oracle deck every once in a while to connect with Mother Mary. I also like using this for like my Patreon. It's like a really fun deck for that. But the only deities that really have like claimed decks for me are Lilith. I use the Everyday Witch deck with her. This deck is another one that I feel like a beginner witch could probably use. I would say it's more intermediate, just in my opinion, but it is so cute. And there's so many cats and
Um,
like different things on here.
It's so
Lilith
cute.
loves this deck. Like she absolutely loves it, loves it, loves it. So that's the one I use with her. And then I have another deck that I share between Loki and Venus. Loki, I bought this deck for like a while ago, and he barely ever asks me to do tarot readings with him. So then when I started working with Venus, I'm like, this is the prettiest tarot deck that I have. So do you mind sharing it with her? And he's like, I don't mind sharing a tarot deck with a pretty lady. And I'm like, yep, that's Loki.
Mood.
So for them, I use the Earthreath. How do you pronounce this word? Ethereal?
Ethereal.
Ethereal?
Ethereal.
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 Wow.
Ethereal.
I've been
Okay,
saying
there it
that
is.
so wrong for like
Leave.
years. Ethereal.
It's
Or
okay though.
Rethrol. No, ethereal. Oh my gosh, Lena. But I use that for Loki and Venus. Other than that, I really like Oracle cards. This is my favorite one for Jesus, the lights, the Know Your Light Oracle cards. I really like them because they're light activating and they help you get to like the more positive vibration of yourself. But I also like them because they're action based. So they tell you something to do. I like things that tell me what to do. I'm not that great at reading tarot for myself. I prefer Oracle for myself. I feel like I'm really good at reading tarot for other people, but like I hate reading it for myself. I prefer Oracle, or if I do tarot readings with myself, I said before I use the Light Seers deck. I also use the Mythic Tarot by Trisha Newell. I don't show that one on camera because that's one from my father-in-law actually passed that down to my husband and I. So it like energetically stays in the family, so we use it together. And I feel like that's also important to like have something that you don't share in your practice. Um, but other than that, I like runes. Runes are fun. I like to do them with
Runes are fun.
Loki. My kiddo and I, we picked these tiger's eye runes at a Norse
Cool.
pagan shop when we went on vacation in Connecticut one year. And I picked them. I let him pick them for Loki. And then I also, because I'm an astrology girly and I'm also a basic Bible bitch, I like to cast lots using astro dice.
Okay,
So
that's actually a
astro
good idea.
dice,
That's a good
if you've
idea.
never heard of these things, these are awesome. So you ask a question with them, and it has to be a very, very specific question, like, you know, why am I not receiving the raise in the job that I want, right? And it'll tell you like the attitude of the situation using a sign. It'll tell you what area of life is being affected using the house, and then how to move through it using like a planet. And it's really interesting. These things are so freakily accurate.
Yep.
Oh my God. Scary. Like, I think
I gotta give you
probably
some of
these
this.
are the most accurate out of anything that I use, I will say.
That's cool.
But those are all the
Yeah,
things
it's
that I
neat.
have.
All right. So
Oh no.
I've been practicing for almost as long as you guys have been alive, which is hilarious. We're at 21 years this year. I've been practicing, so I have acquired
Alright.
quite a few things. All
Well,
right.
Wow.
So the
your
first
practice
one.
can drink. Congratulations.
Fuck. Hate it. Okay. So the first. And that's only if we don't count what I learned granny witching as a kid. So like if we count that, then it's like what is 35 minus 8? Somebody do math. I don't fucking know. Anyway, so the first
27.
thing, yeah, is I used to do mirror scrying. This is a full moon mirror scry. And what I do is I take my holy water when I meditate with it. I haven't been able to do it since Brenyo was born, but this is what I used to use for. And I would use this if I felt. So I don't know how it is with y'all, but when I'm starting to get a message or pay attention, my ears go really hot and they start ringing, and I feel
Yeah.
like dizzy, but not in my POTS dizziness. it's like the car stops really fast and your body keeps going and you get that whoa, like it's that feeling. And I'm like, all right, I need to go listen. So I would go douse, my scrying mirror with my holy water, and I would meditate and listen for a little bit. I put on some neural beats and just like zone out. I'm just like, phew. Now, you know what's really cool about this is I got this from the $5 drawer at Target like a bajillion years ago. So we basic broke bitches. We're okay with using that little stuff. I am not one of those, you have to use a scrying mirror. Now it is enchanted. I do have locks on it. I do have sigils on it. And I do have a psalm written on the back of it. And just to make sure that not only am what I'm getting is the right message, but nobody's trying to fuck with me through that reflection. Because if anybody knows about reflections, it's scary as shit. It's a literal thing. These are literal mirrors and doorways to the ethereal side, which is where all our angels and spirits and all that kind of stuff is. Now, the other one is I use a pendulum to confirm what I'm doing. Kind of like, is this the deck you want to use today? Is this you talking to me? Things like that. And this one, my Maggie picked this one out. She went right up to when we were in the woo store. She went right up and was like, this one says it needs to come home. And I'm like, you don't even know what this is, but it's my birthstone. It's aquamarine. So, and it has the moon and stars on it, which is like my favorite thing, if you haven't noticed. And she's like, you need this one. She was like, 4, barely talking. And I'm like, okay. So I use that for my confirmation. Now, this is the fun stuff. Sometimes I hold it if I'm trying to do it really quick, and sometimes I let it dangle. I used to have a jar that I used it for,
How
but
do you
that
let it
broke.
dangle to
So,
work?
Oh,
How do you do that?
I just like hook it. I just like it's got an actual little handle thingy on here, and I just let it. All right, hang on.
I have a pendulum
But
jar.
Yeah,
you
I'm
like
gonna.
dangle it from yourself or
So you see how
oh.
it's got that moon? I'll put it on like I've got little hooks up here that are attached to what
Wait,
I'm
but then
using.
Hannah, how does that work? Like, do you like hold the jar?
So what I do is, I have pendulum boards. So I try to not
Hmm.
like
Oh, I
influence
have
the
that too.
direction that it's gonna move in. But
Yeah.
what I do is I have it setting on top of my pendulum still, and then I try my best to just put it straight up and straight down, and then see
Yeah.
what
Okay.
direction it goes in. So that yes, there is movement, but I'm not influencing what direction it goes in.
Okay.
I don't use this too often. It's one of those. It's almost like a security clutch because sometimes when you're using your
Yeah.
pendulum, you might be like, "Is this me or is this the universe?" So this is like my security blanket, divinatory tool. I'm feeling really
oh
insecure.
yeah. No,
No,
going
that's
into
cool. I've
those
So
never
is
seen
so
somebody do a
cool.
pendulum like that. I don't know why.
Was a TikTok trend
like
a million years ago for everyone to make pendulum jars, like when I first joined. So I
Interesting.
made one to like hop on the trend, but then it's also pretty, so I just have
yeah.
it too.
It is
So
very
part of
pretty.
it is like
Aesthetic.
you have to keep yourself really still, and if I'm having a really bad flare day, I'm not going to be able to keep it still.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
but normally what I would do is I would pray and hold it real steady, and I would actually instead of holding it like this, which can also influence it, I actually put the little hanger here in between my knuckles and let it dangle from my hand. This
Mm,
can hold a little bit better than this can. You see the difference?
yeah.
It's just because my joints aren't very stable. Um, so the other one is when I need to talk to Jesus, and I really feel like, man, Jesus is the one that I need to talk to. Like right now, I have a loving words from Jesus, and I use this like an oracle deck. And I usually just shuffle it, and I'm just like, what do I need to know? And then I do my bibliomancy because it has a Bible verse on here, and I'm just like, yep, we're gonna talk to Jesus, and we're gonna read what he has to say. And usually, it's very affirming to what I'm asking. So, okay, I have so many. Hang on a second. So, when I am talking to Mary Magdalene, I use my Housewives Tarot deck.
Oh.
And it's because, and I know that sounds very, how dare you put Mary Magdalene, the beloved, the what, you know what? She had a lot of shit going on behind the background. And I feel like it actually would suit her to have the Housewives deck because if Jesus was the one teaching, she is the one spreading more. Much like the head of the household needs a neck to move it, I feel like that is really a good point. And it is sassy. This thing is sassy. And if you don't think Mary Magdalene is sassy, you need to read her again. She and Jesus were very much for each other in that way. Um, the other thing is, and I know I'm taking forever, so when I talk to Ashra, I'm using, or if I'm talking to like Ancestry, if I'm trying to do any kind of general drawing, I'm going to use my Shadowscapes deck. This one is gorgeous. Ashra being, Queen of Heaven, it has all the elements in it. It's got literally like fire and air and all of it represented. So I feel like all of these represent her really well. She speaks really well through it. Um, if I'm talking to Anne Regan, who is my ancestral deity, is the one that has been in my family for a long time, I am using Darkwood Tarot. This is my shadow tarot. Yes, I do shadow work. Not only do I do shadow work, I do a lot of ancestry work. I do a lot of hedge work, whether I want to or not, because that's the wonderful gift my grandmother gave to me. So we do a lot of spirit work, whether we want to or not, and that's the deck that they like the most. The other one is I have the Southern Gothic Oracle deck, and this is one that I use for like my daily affirmations for like what do I need to do. Also more ancestor works, and this one is really gorgeous. Like this is crosswords, this is the banjo, things like that, the alligator. And the difference between tarot and the oracle, it is just basically like this is like one thing to ask to really focus on. I feel like tarot has way more interpretation, but every single deck is different.
So I wanted
Now
to.
the other one,
Oh,
I'm not done.
I'm sorry, Linda.
I keep going.
Dang.
It's okay.
Yumi's just like,
I didn't know.
So this is another one. This is the one that I've been doing. Tarot is cool and all, but like tarot to me is like my intuition and my energy. I do the Lenormand deck, which is the okay, now what the fuck do I do? So if tarot is your why, Lenormand is your how. And it is always a 2-card draw, a 3-card draw. They all describe one another for like how things work. And every single deck is the same. The artwork is different, but it's not a focus on what the artwork says. It is the letter means this, the key means this means this. And there's not a lot of Lenormand decks out there anyway, so it's not like there's a lot of variation. I think there's a Krampus one. There is this one, which is the fairy tale one, because that's my theme is fairy tale, witch in the woods. And then I've got this one, which is the Malefic Lenormand, which I think the artwork is fucking cool as shit on that. Look at that. That's awesome. But,
that sounds fun.
and then the other one, whether I like it or not, is God talks to me as my little mama sitting up in Appalachia in her little cabin on her quilting rack, just like every time we talk, she just has another patch to the quilt, and it's, and I know that it's God in those moments because of how he talks to me. I know that it's God in those moments because of how he feels to me. So when I'm scrying in my mirror, when I'm meditating with the candle that I'm using, and when I'm doing any of that, I get a distinct vision or a scent. My thing is scent. I can pick up the scent really, really well of who I'm working with. And God has an all-encompassing, almost like electric scent. Like back in the day, if you ever unplugged or turned off one of those old tube televisions and you could smell the static in the air, it's that smell.
Yeah.
Like, God, that is not existing anymore, so I can't be like, oh, somebody turned off a TV, that's what it is. Nah, this is like a distinct, like, electrical, like, the smell before lightning hits in a storm kind of thing. So, working with all of these tools is cool, and that I have become also a tarot gremlin, like a dice gremlin, like Hannah, but it's not quite. Oh, there is one. I did try to use my angel tarot to talk to fucking Gabriel, but he doesn't like this deck, and neither does God. I don't know why they don't like it. Very
Nobody
Solomonic,
likes
though.
that deck. I've
Nobody
seen
likes
so
this
many
deck.
people buy that deck that are like Christian or Jesus witches and be like, it doesn't work for me. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's fascinating. And anytime I've seen it in a store, I get really weird vibes from it. I don't know why.
I like the artwork.
Well, I picked it up.
I like the
artwork is
I
beautiful.
want to like it, but it gives me weird vibes.
Yeah.
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 And
We got a lot
if
of
I.
comments here.
Oh, do we? But like.
Who is confused, and I don't really feel like being a broken record. I've explained this 800 times.
Yeah.
Just block them, Sarah. Seriously. They're not worth your time. Sorry.
I don't even see who it was. Who is this?
My
It
This
was
is
because
someone, my
Sarah
entire
blocked them.
account's about the. Yeah, I
Oh.
muted them just because I'm like, you know what? I can only say this so many times before I start feeling like I ate too much ice cream and need to vomit. So, like,
Oh
oh my
my
So,
god.
but this is like the actual angels. Like the artwork is beautiful. Not only does it have what it is, it
gorgeous
tells us what
artwork.
this angel works with, and it gives us in the book. It actually gives us the verse that it corresponds to. So you can go and do bibliomancy. You can do more work with it. So I always will default to God.
Mhm.
I will always default to God whenever I'm doing this. That's how I was raised. When you are granny witching, everything is a sign from God. Um, yes, it is possible to work with Mary Magdalene. But if I'm working with somebody else, I will ask God first. God, I'm asking you here to be in this space. Protect me and watch me if
Yep.
have me speak a truth and understand what you're trying to reach to me through. And then I'll call on somebody else, whether it's Jesus, whether it's Mary Magdalene, whether it's my great grandma, whether it is fucking Gabriel, whether he and I still have problems. Listen, he and I are still having problems, okay? We need to
He's
go.
fighting Michael all the time.
Oh my god.
Um,
And you some
Yeah.
and that's what I call on him first. Like he is the one who gives us what we're using. So I call on him and thank him for what he's got, and then I talk to, all right, God, I know they've got a message. I can smell them. What are they trying to say? And that's,
no.
listen. If you're trying to adapt and practice any of your clairvoyance, any of your clarity, don't pick scent. Don't pick scent. This is an
No,
awful
that
fucking
sounds
gift
so
to have.
annoying.
This
It
is
sounds so
awful.
weird.
Oh God,
But
like you'll get
Hannah,
that. Ugh.
Hannah, I know you were saying that you had some other decks and other stuff going on. Did you
Yeah.
want to talk more about stuff that you
Yeah,
do?
so I like showing this deck off because it's fucking sick. So I to talk to the infernals, I use the Black Tarot, which
That's
is
a beautiful one.
in my light here. But I'm just like I want to show off like some of the my light. The artwork for this deck is just absolutely unreal and it will kick you in the face when you're doing readings with it. I use this to communicate with Osmodius and Beelzebub and decided that just for shits and gigs because I've asked like deities this before, but I had never really asked the infernals this. I was like, what do you think of my boyfriend? How do y'all like Kenny? And for context, he has a lot of anxiety. So when I tell you the first card that I pulled was Nine of Swords, I'm like, I know that. What else do you got for me? So I'm like, okay, yeah, they know, they're here, they're seeing things. So yeah, if you're looking
That's so
for
funny.
an ass kicker deck that will tell you the truth. You won't have to question it. You won't have to be like, what does that mean? No. Yeah.
And if that
I
one
only
is
have.
too spooky, I was gonna say really fast. If that one's too spooky, the Darkwood Tarot that Abigail Larson animated. So if you like her kind of art, like this is the Fool.
Mm-hmm.
That is cool. That one is really fun
You know,
looking.
it's like a little creepy, but not too creepy. So if you get creeped out really easily by some stuff, like the tarot decks that Hannah and Sarah have, um, then this would be. It's still dark-ish, but it's definitely one of those. It's like it makes you dig deeper without being completely creeped out.
Another good one is the Weaver Tarot. It's just got very
Yeah,
like
that's
it's like
beautiful.
shiny and rainbow, but it's got art that isn't like really complex. So that one's also fun. But I do have one deck that is specifically for the Slavic gods because I was gonna work with Crit Sneak on it, and then I just kind of expanded that to all the Slavic gods. But that one is one I don't like decks that only have right side up definitions. When the booklet only has right side up definitions, I want to swing. I'm just so annoyed about it. But that's one of those, but they like the art. It's got like animals and nature on it. Some really good ones are like raccoons and stuff on there. But the Slavic gods also just like to just talk. Like they'll just drag me aside and show me something, and I'm like, okay, very nice, but like, what acid trip did you just bring me on? Because I don't know where I am now. So, but yeah,
Something else that was trending on TikTok like a year ago with divination, with just for fun. They call it like Spotify divination. So like if you need,
Oh, shufflemancy.
yeah. So like if you
I
Yeah.
love
need
that.
a message on something, like close your eyes and hit shuffle 5 times, and then whatever
Oh, I love
Oh my
it.
god, that's like
song comes
techno
up is
witchcraft
what
at its
you know.
finest.
I made a playlist, like a more like eclectic playlist. So I put like all the music I listen to in there, like 21 Pilots, Taylor Swift, Fall Out Boy, like Dua Lipa, like people that don't belong, Phoebe Bridgers, they don't belong in playlists together. And I'll do that, and it's like so fun, especially somebody who like I love adding music in my practice. Like most of my spells these days are charging songs or are like protected by a charged song or like involve like music in some way. So I absolutely love shufflemancy. It's so much fun. Just a fun way to do divination,
Sounds fun.
honestly.
I usually only use magic to like get into the zone for meditation, but I could definitely see how that. You know why? Because again, like, I just remember being at the gym one time, and I was like a senior in high school, and I'm like, damn, life is so busy, life is so stressful, and then like Nine Inch Nails, The Fragile, just started like I had listened to the end of the song, but then the chorus suddenly just smacked me in the face with the like "I won't let you fall apart" line, and I was like,
Aw.
heard, noted. So I don't know. That was like the only time God ever really was like, "Oh myself, listen." So
No, that's for me, music, that's like a daily occurrence with music. It's like there was a time in my life where like I would if I was going through a really hard time, I would put my like 21 Pilots playlist and on shuffle. And if like Screen, which is like a song about like how God's the only person that could like hear like see the thoughts on your chest. If you didn't know this, 21 Pilots is actually a Christian band. They just market themselves as
what?
not. Yeah.
What?
Oh yeah, dude. 100%.
Yeah, it's like
That's
Flyleaf.
no, yeah,
Damn.
I could like literally. I used to write blog posts about like the Bible verses that like 21 Pilot songs were connected to, and that one was is like a really biblical song. And I would every time I would go somewhere and I'd be like really upset, and I'd put that playlist on shuffle. I'd get that song, and it was like God's like watching sort of thing. Now that song shifted for me. It's a Taylor Swift song now, obviously, but it's very reassuring to know that like when you charge a song with magic and you hear it at times that you like need to hear it, it's like it's a really reassuring feeling. Yes, they are. They really
That's so
are.
crazy. That's so
Like okay,
crazy.
Yeah.
so like the fun fact, if you look up Tyler Joseph on Spotify, you'll find songs he did with his old church. He did like a worship album with them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Dang.
crazy lore.
I like
Yep.
I like Christian
And the
music that
Killers,
doesn't sound like knockoff
The
Jonas
Killers a
Brothers.
little
That's the
bit.
thing.
they have
What's that? What's
have
that
biblical
other one?
influence because the lead singer's a Mormon.
Yeah. But what's that other that there's that other band that
Skillet.
oh what's his name? NF.
Yeah, it was Skillet.
Skillet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Skillet started as a Christian band.
Yeah, they were always like very
They
obviously a
were always
Christian
a
band.
Christian
Yeah.
band. They just got like
Dude, their lead singer
but
is
yeah,
like full on evangelical now. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, they got a
Yeah,
little
I don't know what happened to him,
they
but
got
oops.
they went from like being like metal Christian to like K-Love Christian, you know?
Yeah, when I
Hmm.
started
Yeah,
hearing
but
them on K-Love, that's when I knew. And
Yeah.
they did a song for that movie The Shack, and I read the book. I haven't seen the movie, but the book was ridiculous. And I'm like, you're
I
doing
literally have
that now?
trauma from that movie. I literally have trauma from that movie because they forced us to watch it on a girls'
Like,
night.
oh, The Shack, you have to read The Shack. The Shack will change your life. And then I read it, and I'm like, this is fucking stupid. Are
Yeah,
you
what does
kidding?
it change in your life? Like for real. It's not one of those like open your eyes kind of books or movies. It really is like,
And it's like
all
this
right.
such a tiny book. I read it in like 2 days, and I'm like, this is the stupidest way to spend 2 days. Like, why did I?
No.
what's the
So
premise?
then,
Is it like
like,
a fiction or is it
yep.
like
So okay,
It's a,
okay. We're totally skewing from divination, but let me just lay out
it's okay.
what this book is. Okay, so
I
there's
gotta
this
know what
guy,
this book's
and
about?
he is an ex-Christian. His wife is still really Christian, but he has walked away from Christianity because his daughter was murdered, and so he's like, how could there possibly be a God in this dark world where my daughter was murdered? And God takes him on a journey, and I like that they portray God in different ways. Like they make Jesus brown, and the Holy Spirit in her human form is this like beautiful Asian lady, and they portray God as a beautiful black woman. Great. That's the only thing that's good about it, though, because it's this whole journey about how he learns to forgive the man that murdered his 4-year-old daughter and how important that is. And that's like the whole premise of the book. And I'm like, no. So, yeah.
No, it's really bad. It's bad.
We got another one.
It's
Ew.
Oh,
Explain how
the
children are
sirens.
witches of God. Wait, no, children are
Thank God.
witches are children of God. I reversed
Yeah,
it. But you know what?
explain how witches are children of God. Well, if everybody is a child of God because God made us all.
oh no.
Oh,
Oh
it
no!
was.
Okay.
Okay, let me try that
Judge
again.
Sorry, go ahead.
If we are all made from God, and we are all children in the eyes of God, then why the fuck are we not using what He gave us to exalt Him? Why the fuck are we not using what He like? What the fuck?
I feel like
Listen
people
here,
think
Yeah.
witches
Fox
are
and
like.
friends. You need to get off my stream
No.
because you keep saying the
I
same thing
think
over and over again.
I think people keep thinking that witches are some like other race of creature entirely or something. Like the way
Yeah.
people talk, they think that like
We're another species.
Christians and witches are like two entirely different species of people, and it's like no, like I don't know. How do I even explain like literally 2,000 years of etymology, history, and just
It's
general
crazy.
fuckery
We
to everybody in
are
one
society
5 minute life?
former witch. So we believe that God gave us powers. God gave us these
They don't even know
abilities.
what a witch is.
Would be like smack in the face to God to not utilize those abilities.
Yeah, like it was literally Saint Paul and like Archangel Raziel who were like, guess how to use magic. Like that completely just recently radically shifted my understanding of how to use magic. I am a
You are
former
not.
witch and I was under demonic possession. I'm sorry that
Listen,
happened
as
to you,
somebody
but
who just went
that's
through it, I can tell you as a witch, I am not under demonic possession. Thank you.
but like
Huh.
okay, so here's actually this is a great time to bring
Just
this
never
up.
done that.
And I can
It is.
that doesn't sound like freedom, but here's a great time to bring this up. People who say I'm a
Mm-hmm.
former witch and then God saved me, all that tells me is like you fucked
You did.
something up, you got scared, and you ran back to your comfort zone. I'm
Yep.
sorry. That's all. Every time people say that, that's all I hear is I did
No, that's
something, I
100%.
fucked it, and I ran away.
So, and also, if you were a former
Of course you
witch,
could. Of course you could cuss.
as someone who is also a former witch, who studied Dragon Hills Coven during my teenage rebellious years,
Nope. It
come
definitely
closer,
wasn't. Anyway, you can
come
like
closer,
avoid
come
using
closer.
caps lock.
My comfort zone was away from God. That's okay. Well, if that's really your comfort zone, homegirl, like that's kind of scary. I'm just gonna say.
If you never believed in the faith, okay, that's fine. Here's where we're going through this. Having faith in something, in a higher source, in a higher power, no matter what you call it, as we discussed with the last time, God appears in each culture as he needs to be, whatever the name needs to be, to continue loving his children. Whether you call it source, whether you call it God, whether it is Allah, whether it is whatever it might be, I promise. The faith was always there. You just put a different mask on it. That's
Mm-hmm.
all.
Probably. As far as I'm concerned, a lot of this behavior, when people say, oh, things are demonic and blah, blah, this is the kind of behavior that to me is really demonic. If I follow the understanding of sin from Mary Magdalene's gospel, this is the kind of stuff that it's like, I don't know what egregore you guys are playing with, but if your idea of Jesus is to literally strip yourself of the power he gave you, you are following someone's really elaborate egregore. You are not following God. Like,
You are
to
literally
me,
following Paul and Peter.
Yeah. Well, I
a
mean,
weird shadow of Paul and
yeah,
Peter on top of that, not
a
even
weird
original one.
version of them. That's what I was gonna say because, like, as somebody who works with Saint Paul, that's not his intention.
No.
He's very much like get the gospel out no matter how it gets out. And like, here's the thing. Okay, I'm gonna go on like a little high horse rant for a second, and please don't think that this is egotistical. Us collectively, all four of us, we preach Jesus, we preach the gospel, we preach God to a group of people who does not get taught about God, who does not get shown the time of day, who does not get shown their worth in faith, that does not get shown like anything about God. The only thing that they get shown is that they're disgusting and horrible and need to change. So we're here saying, hey, you can come as you are and you can still have a relationship with God. I don't understand why evangelicals get on such like a soapbox about that when they literally do not want to give the people that we minister to the time of day. Why are you like coming at us if you don't want to genuinely love these people where they are? Would you, if you had an active like an active witch at your church, would you genuinely love them, or would you be trying to convince them to change? Because if we had an evangelical in our
Yeah, we
lives, I
do.
mean, me personally, I have evangelicals in my lives. I don't try to convince them to change. We just try to get like along. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's a high horse and maybe that's like a thing there, but like I really don't understand these people that try to take us down when they do not care about the people that we're ministering to. They don't want to care about the people that we're ministering to. And so what are they just trying to do? Take another Jesus resource away? Like and make it more secluded, make him more in a box, put him more in a chain. Like again, I'm sorry. I just don't understand what's the point
Yeah,
of that.
no, again, it really comes around to people not realizing the point of the gospels when Jesus says I'm here to, like, minister the tax collectors and the fun times workers and all that stuff. When he says a physician heals the sick, not the healthy, I mean, it's
Yes.
kind of literally like the first people to recognize Jesus are always the so-called unrighteous, the ones who are living on the fringes. It's because the people who are so righteous have too much of a stick up their ass to actually understand. They're too stuck in the legalism to understand the actual message of Christ, which is that the people who need him most are not the ones who are sitting there doing everything right. The ones who need him
And
most are the ones who are out there screaming in the freaking moon and like just flipping out because everything seems messy. They're the ones who need the support. People who think they have it all figured out and want to play everything by the book and, oh, I'm doing everything right by the Lord. Good for you. No one gives a shit. Like, straight up, no one cares. Like, great, move on. Enjoy yourself then.
Mm-mm.
so
Oh
Jesus will
my
literally say,
Lord. Can you block
he
this one, Sarah? This Nixie one? This guy's got to go. That's
church
absolutely
enemas.
fucking ridiculous.
Ew,
Church
what?
enemas. What the hell is that? If you
Anyway,
really think you need a church enema, you need a freaking exorcist. Let's be real.
so
Damn.
here's the thing. Oh, I think she might have misspelled
No, no, no.
something.
I think Nixie is fine. Nixie just kind of
Is
like
she? Because she's been like doing.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm like
So
such a super quick blocker. Sarah, you give block people more grace than I do, but you also like to debate. I don't.
well, I mean, I like to let
so
them go
let's
for a little bit and see if they're just asking a question out of curiosity or if they're genuinely just like off in the deep end. Nixie, I think we just
no,
misunderstood your
you're
message.
fine.
I'm sorry
Let's
about
see.
that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So so here's the thing. If we want to be really fucking for real, Jesus did not come for us. He came for the tax collectors in
Yeah.
his church. He came for the people who were doing everything right and living by the law but lost focus of what God wanted.
Yep.
These people who were zealots, these people who were essentially like the evangelicals that we have now, he didn't come for us. He didn't come for the Gentiles. He came for them. When they rejected him, when they rejected him, he was finally like, you know what, fuck it. I'm here for everybody now. Everybody needs to hear this. This is important for everybody.
Mm.
And at that turning point, that's when we can say, okay, yes, absolutely. But if we try to keep that in that frame of like, what? Oh, hang on.
Oh,
Pickles. Nope. All right,
What?
nothing. If you look a bit light and say pickles, it'll help sneeze. Anyway, with that working, that's that's what we have to look at is that if you're really here to say, oh, well, I'm doing everything right and perfect because I'm living exactly how my preacher tells me, exactly how the covenant of my church tells me, exactly how to bitch you the same as the Pharisees.
Mhm.
Let's reel it back in a little bit now.
yeah. If you're more focused on actually following like to the letter every law than actually experiencing your life and living with God, that's where it's like because that usually comes with so much ego because they're like, oh,
Yeah.
I go to church every Sunday and I wear modest clothes and it's like great, but how do you treat people that you view as different than you? Because
Eh,
that's the real measure of a Christian. Like if you're treating
Amen.
people if these people who don't follow the rules perfectly, you look at them with scorn, like you are
That's
a problem.
in
Yeah. Matt, what is it?
And
Matthew,
remember
I
the
believe it's Matthew 6:24. Jesus literally says, like, before you go and remove the speck out of your neighbor's eye, go and take the plank out of your own. And in that, he's referring to have some self reflection and look at your own relationship with spirit, look at your own relationship with sin before you point out somebody else's. Because at the end of the day, you need to like have that clarity and have that the ability to have that self reflection if you're actually going to be an effective helper to other people. But also at the end of the day, like somebody else's life is none of your business as long as they're not hurting you.
And also, I think another verse is Corinthians 1:27, like First Corinthians 1:27, where Paul's saying like God uses the weak to shame the strong and the
Mhm.
foolish to shame the wise. Like if you think this is why I was on a podcast recently that was a very interesting podcast. I hope to God that doesn't become a mess when that comes out. But so, I was saying the same thing because he said, well, why do you call yourself a witch? And it's like, well, because the unrighteous, the seemingly unrighteous, are being used now to shame the righteous. Us witches, witch being such a term associated with all things spooky and even anti God, are now being used to shame the righteous. It's every time I look at this, it's very obvious that the people who think they know God wouldn't recognize him if he came and dropped the leg on him. But like,
yep,
so it works that way. Oh, and actually, we were talking. Someone asked about the Witch of Endor, and Alexandria Witch had a great point. Witch of Endor was doing specific practices that were banned, but Alexandria Witch is perfectly right. Saul was not a good character in the Bible, and the fact that he banned her
no.
practice and then went in the cover of night to seek it out anyway is such a story of hypocrisy, and that's why Samuel
yeah.
wakes up like, you dumb bitch. Like,
Oh, we lost Lena
We
again.
lost Lena again.
Lena.
But no, how many times, like in the aspect of Greece and Rome, you had oracles that God said, "Go and find these oracles to get it," because they
Yeah.
spoke essentially the same imagery in the same language.
Yes.
So if that's where we're going, I want to take one small moment while we're waiting for Lena to get back in. The person who keeps asking if you can be a Wiccan Christian, no, I will say no because
I'll also say
Wicca
no. These are two
Wicca is
different
its own
religions.
religion. They are two different religions completely. Now, that's not saying that you can't follow Jesus and do witchcraft in a Wiccan sense, because Valerie Love is a really good example of this. She takes a lot of rituals, if you're comfortable with rituals, she takes a lot of the rituals that she does and uses angels and God and Jesus, and that is one way to go. But we have found through a lot of pruning, through a lot of research, that Wicca itself has a lot of roots in anti Semitism, a lot of
Yep.
racism, misogyny, and it was essentially just basically one guy was like, I don't like how the church is doing this, so I'm gonna make it the goddess and we're gonna follow it my way and that's how we're gonna do it. And it was the exact same control, the exact same rules, the exact same shame. And that is
Yep.
not what God's about. It's not what Jesus is about. It's
You know
not what
what's
our
funny though?
chain breaker is about.
You know what's really funny though is like because of how
Jokes.
popular Wicca got in the 50s and 60s and then like revitalized a little bit again in the 90s with the New Age. This
Yeah.
is kind of like where a lot of people start, and like it's understandable that they start with Wicca and things, and that a lot of modern neo paganism has kind of formed and riffed off of that. What people don't understand is that Wicca borrows so heavily from the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, which was practiced by
Yeah.
Christian court magicians in England, like Dr. John
Yeah.
Dee. So when people say stuff like Christians can't do magic, I'm just like, baby, Christians, Jewish people, they wrote all of your stuff. In fact,
Well,
Jewish people especially, Christians stole a lot of that. So like,
Yeah.
so that's
I
something
mean, like, look at the whole like Shabbos ritual of on for Judaism, like lighting Shabbos candles, and then you go like this to bring the energy towards you.
and energetic. But something else that I've discovered is on my Patreon in certain tiers, we like look at a different like grimoire every week, and that's kind of a loose term, like any ancient magical text. When I tell you 90% of them have been Christian, and that's not on purpose. I'm just looking up these like softwares where I can like find these grimoires, and I click one, and all of them are invocations to angels, invocations to God, all of these like really popular ancient texts that we use to base our witchcraft practices on today. Texts from like the 14 to 1600s are all Christian. Astrology, like they're all invoking God to help with these things. So when you think of like, oh, spooky witchcraft grimoire, guess what? There is some Jesus somewhere in those pages that some fucker in the 1500s wrote down when he was trying to study astrology and alchemy. So
Mhm.
Yeah. A
it's
great
all
name
in
for
there.
anyone. A great name for anyone who wants to actually like source this. Henry Cornelius Agrippa von Netteheim was writing in the 1500s about magic and making the distinction between the Christian magic and stuff that like pagan sorcerers like Circe or something were doing. He was very outright advocating like Christian people should be using magic. He wrote 3 books about it. Everyone called him a heretic, sure, but like that's mostly because they didn't once again didn't like Jewish people because Agrippa was taking a lot of ideas from Kabbalah, from the medieval Jewish mystics at the time, and Europe really sucks when it comes to their track record with how they treat Jewish people. This is no one is new to this information.
Yeah.
So the other side of that would be in Kabbalah, not speaking from a personal practitioner's moment, but from somebody who has spoken with practitioners. There is a rabbi that I follow and talk to who teaches Kabbalah. They have astrology. The stars are called something different in Hebrew, but they have astrology that they follow. And it says this is what God wants you to do based on this you being born here. The other part is um, that in the Gnostic texts, in like what 100, 200 AD, something like that, early Christian texts, before the Great Council of Nicaea and before all the fuckery that went around, they actually have as well the a meshing of the Gnostic astrology and Kabbalah astrology, and they work together for how it relates to the 12 tribes of Judah, for how it relates to the 12 disciples. I have a whole thing. Oh my God, I need to share it with you guys. But it's amazing how this is what the early Christians were doing and talking about and making sense of the world. And now it's all bad and wrong because fucking Rome decided it was going to be bad and wrong.
A lot of the anti-magic attitudes are just like what Rome was riffing off already. Like Rome killed their own people all the time. Everyone wants to act like this is a Christian thing that magic was bad. No. There is an entire like group dedicated to Bacchus, Bacchus being cognate with Dionysus, and the Roman Senate, the polytheist, the pagan Roman Senate killed an entire group of people celebrating Bacchic rites because it was lewd and it was not civilized and whatever, right? Because they would do like the parties in the forest with the wine and stuff. And the Senate was very conservative. Like the Roman Empire was very culturally conservative, and they really wanted you to like cross your T's, dot your I's, button up your shirts, and if you were doing weird stuff, they would just take you out. They would do that to their own
Yeah,
people, and they did
they
multiple
really
times.
enforced through fear.
Yeah.
So
Oh, someone asked about book recommendations. I recommend authors Adelina St. Clair and Valerie Love. There's also a book called The Occult Christ by Ted Andrews, and I'm currently reading a book called Christo Paganism by Joyce and River Higginbottom. Yes, that is their last name. And I'm only like a quarter of the way through it so far because it's a thick boy and it's like this big. Like it's a huge book, but it's really good. It's kind of hard to find on Amazon. It's called like Christopaganism, an inclusive path. But if you can find it, it is really good.
Also, Mimi and Sarah are writing a book. One of
Yes!
you talk
Oh
about
yeah,
that.
we are.
we are.
All right, Sarah, you want to go first? You want me to go?
I'll go first, I guess. Oh, by the way, Topaz,
Okay.
yes, we do this every other week. So every other Tuesday, we get together and we chat about a certain topic. This was divination with the all the different things that were banned and allowed and all that. But with our book, we are basically reading all of the dense, annoying material so that you don't have to. Is kind of the thing because a lot of the books about this topic are either written by academics who like don't understand how modern people read or were written a while ago, like a long time ago, and are extremely thick and hard to get through. But it is essentially a one stop shop, right? So it's divided into 3 sections. The first section's all about the biblical basis of magic, the history, the politics, why you would call yourself a witch, where the word developed from, why it is the way it is, la la. Second section is a lot about, creating that path and kind of understanding where you are in the world as a Christian witch, what you're trying to do with it, and then the last section is the fattest one, which is just about how to actually do all the basics of magic and apply that to your everyday life. So it's quite literally, I think anyone who's has absolutely no idea where to start and doesn't want to read 500 pages of Jürgen Moltmann, they're gonna enjoy having this as a resource.
Yep. It's going to touch on things that will help with deconstruction, a help with not appropriating, give a deeper look into folk practices and the syncretism in that, as well as how to reconnect with like the divine feminine as a Christian witch, because women are bad in the Bible. And it basically, like we talked about the divination tonight, it will go on like ways to use divination and how it's okay in the Bible. Like it is biblically backed, culturally backed, and it like scholarly backed. We have guys. I'm still finding books, and
Yeah, this
we
is a
will even
problem.
talk about different day. We won't go into full on pantheons because that is not the space for this book. But we do talk about how we use um, different deities, how we relate to them, how we work with them, and how we, figure out
Yeah,
where they go in the hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
and it's definitely a lot also about like how to actually discover your ancestry so that you can research more into where your people are from and like what kind of magic you can find out of that, how to find that magic, because again, with Christian witchcraft, there's no resources that really outright just come and say, "Oh yeah, these Christians were witches and they did witchy stuff." You got to read between the lines a lot, which is why it's such a
Mm-hmm.
pain in the ass. You got to go find the ethnography and
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff. And honestly, you can already pre-order the ebook on Amazon and on my shop. If you go to the link in my bio, I have links to my shop where you can get a paperback or where you can get the ebook. You can also find it on Amazon. Right now, it's just the ebook. It's coming out March 1st, 2024. So keep an eye out for that.
And the biggest thing that we look at is we take apart the etymology, so the background of the wording, of how we use what we use, and why we take the ancient status and we look at it through a modern lens so that we can apply it practically and not just be like, well, this is just what it was in the Bible, figure it out. Well, I have a phone now. That's technically, if you want to think about it, your phone is actually a divination portal because of how you use it for information. And it's
I'm
powered by
thinking like the D and
quartz.
D dice rolls. There you go.
Yeah.
But no, like I'm just thinking like D&D dice rolls. But no, yeah, writing this book has been fun because each chapter feels like a whole ass college essay, and I'm just like back into shredding it like I used to do in college. But man, there's a lot. There's a lot, and that's why I'm always just like I can't wait for this book to come out so that I can just never have to repeat myself again. I'll just be like,
You're
buy my
still gonna
book.
have to repeat yourself, Sarah.
I know, but I could just say buy my book
All
and
the
it's
time.
all in there and
Yeah, that's
I
it.
don't have to tell you 100
Yeah.
times.
Right? Literally,
We're
Google
gonna say
that
we're
if you really want this explained.
yeah.
I love
Ta-da! Pay me
And
money.
yeah. Your book of shadows can be a Pinterest board for fuck's sake. Like a book of
Hmm.
shadows
Yeah.
is a very Wiccan-esque title for your book. A grimoire is another way to use it. I'm pretty sure Sarah's is actually a recipe book. So no, just
No, I'm so
I mean,
annoying.
that might be true.
No, well, yes, but also I'm so annoying because I actually like bought so many different journals, like one specifically for stones and specifically for angels, because the idea was to build like my own handwritten magical library, and like all of them are empty because I just buy the actual books about stones instead because
Yeah.
I'm an asshole. So I'm
yeah.
just like,
No, it's
okay,
because work smarter, not harder.
I love
yeah. I mean, if I have specific
Like
things to my own
Same.
practice, I'll put them in those books, and that's it.
Exactly. That's exactly
so
it.
here, I'll show mine. So like your Book of Shadows or Grimoire or whatever you want to call it does not have to be pretty, it does not have to be mystical, it can be whatever. But if you want it to be a work of art, it certainly can be. So I got like the bougie like leather journals from Amazon. And again, you don't have to do this. This is just my specific taste. So like I'm
Hmm.
like artsy and pretty and I have a
Ooh.
bed and that's just my preference. My big one is in the living room. I was working on it today because I want when I die when my family is looking through my things, I want them to be confused as fuck. What the hell was she doing when she
That's
was
fair enough.
alive? Why do we have Jesus on one page and Beelzebub on the next?
Yeah.
That, yeah. And
Yeah.
Grimoire just sounds spooky, and I enjoy spooky things.
That's so valid, Hannah. But like on the flip side of that, of Hannah's beautiful, gorgeous grimoire, this is my grimoire. It's my broken iPhone. There's a bunch
Yes!
of different folders here. This is one here for Bible spells. So I put all my spells in here, and it just syncs to my laptop. So I have it, and it's
That's brilliant
easy,
though.
and I can write whatever I want in the moment, and then I don't have to worry about it. So that's my fancy ass grimoire right there.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's
mine
so
is just
cute
a
though.
journal that had pretty like moons and stuff on it from Walmart. I literally bought a Walmart journal.
Valid.
A
Woo.
lot of my
Woo.
Absolutely.
a lot of my spells though, I don't even write down. I just have like correspondences and ingredients meanings memorized. So I'll just like grab shit and put it together and it usually works. But I like there's one spell that I like need to write down that has been pretty consistent, but it's yeah, I just grab things and but yes, you can put stickers on your grimoire. You can, you can do whatever you want with it.
Do whatever you want. It's your
Yeah,
grimoire. It's for you.
Mhm.
I definitely
Yeah,
like
I
I
know
have my
a
recipe
girl who
book.
did the. I was gonna say I know a girl on here who did happy planners to make them look like book from Hocus Pocus and added
Oh,
grimoire
smart.
pages to your planner. And I was like, "Where did you go?" She's gone. I don't know where she's gone. It was like a year ago.
That is cool though. No, but like again,
But
like I hate having to look up a recipe on my phone, so I have them written down in like my little actual recipe book. There's no anyone who picks it up is just gonna be like, oh, it's a regular food book, but like I know what all of these ingredients
it
do,
is
so it's
not.
just like actually, haha.
I knew it was a recipe book. I knew it.
No,
I
see,
knew it.
I all you guys have pretty grimoires. I had to represent for us lazy witches with the broken iPhone. So you know what?
It
I
You
works
could
love
be
though.
a
that.
That's
You
phantom
got it
witch,
on the
or you could
cloud, you
be
got it on the
chaos.
laptop. I see.
Yeah,
I
I have
can't
them both
there's
like
in
nothing wrong with
places.
chaos.
Now I'm transferring everything to like Google Docs so that like I have it like
mm,
really like backed up. Because I write every single spell that I write. I write every single spell that I cast down, just because like one, I share it on my Patreon, and two, if the like if it works, I want to be able to go back and do it again.
no. I for me,
Guys,
I
I'm
just
running out
like
of
I
room
just
on my altar shelf.
no. I make like just a formula for my spells, like quite literally like. I have the parts separated in my head and I just ad lib it every fucking time. I'm just like, yep, I need this, that, and this to focus it this way. Great, good, done. Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just can't be
My
bothered to
thing is,
write stuff down.
I try sort of like I have notebook like this notebook also right here has like some spells that like I have kind of done because it was the closest notebook that I had, and it'll get transferred later. But like I also use post-it notes because you write pink post-it notes. I'll be able to see it when I actually do it. Like my ritual for tonight, my spell for tonight, actually is written on a neon green post-it note on my computer desk, so
Yep.
Love
I
that.
won't
I
miss
haven't
it.
even fucking decided. Look at you people being prepared. I was like gonna get off this live and be like, all right, God, now what? And just kind of go with it.
Just go with the
Oh
flow.
no, like I did one yesterday for the equinox, and then today for Aries and the new moon because I always do a new moon and a full moon, and then I've also got what is it in the next 2 days? When is Pluto doing the peekaboo thing? Isn't that Thursday? Anyway, whenever day
Yeah,
that
it's
is,
moving into on
Something
the
like that.
28th or 9th, I believe. It's moving into
I think this.
Aquarius.
No, I think this was our
yeah.
last
So
quiet month too for retrogrades. I think now it just builds into madness until August when we inevitably all just like lose our fucking
Y'all.
minds. Which
Yeah,
is
there's
great.
like
I'm
a
not like
freaking eclipse the day before my birthday, and I'm like, no.
I think
If I
for
can
New
have
moons
some
are
release.
manifestation and full moons are release. So
Yep.
new moons can be what do I need to focus on? What are some things that I need to bring in? Are there opportunities coming to me to do ABC? I really want a new bike. Like that's what you do with the
I
new
really want a new bike.
moon. Don't judge
oh
me. I've
Oh
been
shit.
wanting a bike forever. I want a Huffy.
That's,
wait,
you know what? That's so valid, though. Bikes are fun.
well
And
Oh
then you
yeah,
could
Yeah.
put
it's
like
fun.
one of
I
those
got
little
some stuff in the
baskets on the
Polish store
back
that's
that you
got
could
ginger
stuff
and
your
shit.
kids in and just be like a little witch on a bike.
Yeah. Look, my kid already tries to put herself in the oven. Okay, I'm just might as well have a bike for it.
In the oven?
Fuck.
In the
That's good
oven.
stuff.
I use the new moon for baneful workings because Jesus can't see me doing it.
Yo, that's too fucking
Listen,
good. That's good.
no. Oh
That's
my god.
clever.
That's funny.
Yeah,
That's
Fair.
I will.
clever.
Okay, I'm like,
To be fair, I am a kind of resident baneful witch here who is a Christian witch or considers myself one. In my book, if you look at the story, this is the example that I use, but there's several other examples too. If you look at the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, that is not a story about homosexuality, it is a story
nope.
of destroying
A lot of
grapists.
things.
So if God is cool with destroying a town full of grapists, then he's cool with me doing spells to give a universal ass whooping to one, in my humble opinion. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I agree with you, Sarah. I agree with you, Hannah. However, I'm a New Yorker and I'm an asshole, so I'm not allowed to do baneful magic because otherwise I'd be
Yeah,
hexing
same.
everybody.
Same. I'm from
Yeah,
Rhode
yeah,
Island.
if
Me
you're
too.
from the
Territory.
Northeast, I'm very good.
No, but this is what I do though is I like bindings a lot. I think yesterday I literally I mean my most powerful spells sometimes are like literally just direct energy work where I'm just
Hmm.
like, you know what? You're done. And so that was yesterday where like I just felt that leave my body. I paid for it by burning my dinner a little bit and I was like, fair, but I definitely like was like, whoopsie, that was a very impulsive spell that I did on a whim. God bless whoever it gets hit with. But
Yeah. I do
nonetheless,
a
I'm
lot of
going to
return
agree
to
with that too.
senders.
return to
Yeah,
sender.
all
it
my
was
stuff is return to senders, but they're baked in to like the protection wars. So not only and they're layered. So if you have like, okay, you're gonna fuck with me here. Okay, here it is. Okay, you're gonna keep fucking with me here. Okay, no problem. If you're gonna fuck with me here at this level, that's where we get into Job.
Yeah.
It, I have one of the things that I have doing, and it's for, and Sarah, don't let me forget. I need to message you about this because I think we need to also write an intermediate book for some of the shit I've been writing lately, just so
oh
you are aware.
god, I got like projects
Beginners
slated
is
out
not
for
where we start.
2025. Okay, but
Whatchamacallit, for me, I personally don't do baneful magic because, like I said, I could be an asshole and I would be hexing everybody if I did do baneful magic. But I will do like what I like consider to be like justice magic, where like I use a justice psalm, like once Psalm 109 or Psalm 91, and I like just really ask God to take care of the situation. I say, I don't have a
Yeah.
specific outcome that I want in mind. But like you take care of it the way that you're going to take care of it. I usually like doing these with mirrors because I like to have the person have like some sort of reflection over what they do. Or this is a close practice. I learned it through like, my aunts passing it down to me. But I do a lot of freezer spells. I will put people who are hurting me in a freezer to stop them. Again, that's like a close practice thing, but that's something it's within the realm of close practice I can do. Um, and that's just more to get them to like leave me alone versus and like not be able to like hurt me. And I always charge my freezer spells with a little extra like get them help sort of thing because I don't want to just stop them dead in their tracks and like have them have a new target. I want them to like instead of having a new target go get help sort of thing and not hurt other people. So for me that's the type of like quote unquote baneful magic I would do. But like for me, and this was like applicable when I was like an evangelical Christian. Having Jesus in my life is a lot about learning how to not be so angry, not be so resentful towards other people, really not have like a bitter thorn in my side. So I don't feel like I can do, and I wouldn't do. The one time I tried to hex somebody, it broke. It literally like broke. So I think it's very clear that I'm not supposed to do that kind of magic.
That's okay. Everyone's path is
It's okay.
different.
Yeah.
Well,
And like, oh, sorry, I was gonna say just it was just a granny thing. It wasn't necessarily that we were cursing you, but like her thing was like, never speak ill because it'll come back on you in some way, shape. Somebody's gonna give you the stink eye back, and it's gonna look bad on you. So what you're gonna do instead is ask for others around them to be blessed.
Yeah, that's the
that's
that's
so
the
favorite.
thing. Bless your
Yeah.
enemies.
That's such
Yeah.
like
Pray
such a
for
Ask
your
good
for
enemies.
their,
movement.
Bless
you
them
know,
instead of curse them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ask God to
Don't
hit them with the
don't
full weight
don't
of what
give.
they've done, like the full knowledge of it. That's what I
Not
usually
them. You
do.
bless the
Yeah.
people around them, and it's like a, it's like that. They get that little
No, no,
like.
but like if someone does something really messed up, I just like I really focus and I ask God to like hit them like a brick with the full weight of the knowledge of what they've done, so they can really just like sit in it. I'm just like, I ain't
Oh
Mhm.
wishing
yeah.
nothing ill on you. I just wish you to understand fully what you did.
Yeah. So yeah,
Um.
I
If
didn't know that freezer spells were closed. But they actually are closed in voodoo and hoodoo traditions. My dad grew up in Haiti. And his obviously my dad and his sisters grew up in Haiti. So my aunt who told me this or taught me this was taught this by like on the island sort of thing. So I only use them in my practice when I feel like they're really, really, really needed for somebody, but like it's not something that, most people should be doing.
Gotcha.
right, and like in Appalachia, the hoodoo is intermingled with the indigenous practice, and it's not a matter of us appropriating, but a matter of like generations ago these families came together to survive. So whatever was
Beautiful
taught
both
to
ways.
me is what's passed down, and therefore I work to try not to appropriate further. So I continue to not do it, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Like I have recognized, okay, this is hoodoo. I do some work, I do some ancestor work, and I pray over it. And if it's something I feel I can do in that sense, because it was taught to me, it was passed down to me through my grandparents who also did these workings, who were taught by people who, that is that is okay. But, and there's always a big but, you have to make sure that you're not purposefully saying, I'm just gonna do this, whatever. It's fine. And
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
like I also know about honey jars. Am I going to use a honey jar? No. I know that is a closed practice to voodoo and to hoodoo. Am
Mhm.
I going to use, hot foot powder on my enemies? No. I know that is a closed thing. Do I know how to do it? Yeah. Am I going to? No.
I think in the
It's a
same like
personal choice.
respect as sorry, Mimi. I'm sorry I cut you off.
Oh no, that's okay. I just said it's just a personal choice of how I'm healing that ancestral wound.
Hmm. No, I think in the same
So
respect as like what you were saying, like these were things that you were taught that you're not gonna do. Whereas like I feel like I can do like a freezer spell because of the way that I was taught to do it. But like even though honey jars are open in voodoo practices, I don't feel like everything in voodoo is open to me. I feel like the very
yeah,
specific things that I was taught by my dad, by my aunts that were
yes,
living on the island is what I'm allowed to do. Other than that, no. So I would not
Mm.
do
yeah,
a honey jar because that was not something I was personally like passed down in my practice. Freezer spells, yeah, I was taught how to do that. So will I do it? Yeah, I will do that. But something else that I wasn't personally taught by my family who's done it themselves, I won't do that. I won't touch it.
That makes sense.
yeah. Like we
Well,
have
But
the knowledge to
anyway,
do so, but it's at our personal discretion. So
yeah.
Yeah.
well,
Anyway,
we've
it's
been.
like 9:45 almost.
I was gonna
We
say
went
we've
over a
is
little
it
bit.
really?
almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
So let's do one last go round of where the people can find us, what you're working on, and things like that. Miss Sarah, if you'd be so kind.
Well, yes, yes. You can find me obviously here on TikTok. This live and every other one we do is going to be uploaded to my YouTube as well. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. It's all at the link in my bio. You can find the book I'm working on with Mimi there as well. Like that link, I swear to God, is the ultimate one link to rule them all. It's got everything in there. I also have my collection of interviews with the gods. If anyone's been following that series, that comes out in September 2023, where the first 50 interviews and the cards and the offerings and like all of the reflections are going to be just in one place. I hope that book doesn't end up like this fat. That's going to be ridiculous to print. But that's all up there, as well as my fantasy book. That too. I also do make stuff up for a living in some aspects, so that's fun. Um,
Yes.
It's so fucking
so
good. It's so fucking good, Sarah. It has no right being that fucking
so
good.
got a lot of things going on. So if you guys like to read fantasy, if you guys want to follow any of my projects, it's all in that link. Just go click it and explore like it's Santa's village. Enjoy.
I'm obviously here on TikTok. I'm probably gonna do a restock on Candle Friday or
Where'd you go?
Saturday. I have my shop. bio. I have on. I'm
Okay.
trying to
She's
upload this
looking for you.
as well. All of my other social medias are found in my bio. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. Just Chris Motionless respond to me. And follow me on here for in
All right. I will go while Mimi handles a child. My name is Nina. I'm a witch. I'm the Nina the Jesus Witch. I have the podcast called the Jesus Witch Podcast. I have a Patreon and Etsy shop where I do like Bible based spells and different like Jesus-y witchy type things. You can find everything that I do in the link in my bio. I also have a free Discord community called the Jesus Witch Church where we like talk about all the different things there. It's really fun place to be. So if you're over 18, you can come join us there. And I put an announcement every time that I go live. Either myself or one of my moderators, aka Charlie, will put a live an announcement when we go live on here. So if you want to be notified in real time when we're coming up, you can join our Discord group. Mimi, go.
I am Mimi. If you Google Feral Southern Housewife, I will show up on my blog, which is still being worked on, here on TikTok, Instagram. That is not okay. And also on YouTube, I basically have been uploading shorts to, you may not have, okay, here, have the holy water. Here you go. There you go. My witchy baby. That's everything that I'm working on. If you just Google Feral Southern Housewife, you'll find me in all of the places. Yeah, the blog is still a work in progress. It is where I'm testing out the homeschooling curriculum, the stuff that I'm using to teach the kids with that is a Christian witchy stuff that's mashed together. And that will be going live sometime this summer. I'm still testing it with my kids now because they are my guinea pigs. And and once that's all done, it'll be there. But I am I'm uploading everything that's on TikTok to YouTube Shorts because of TikTok being a butt. Um, yeah, and also thanks, Pops. I follow you and I love your stuff. I love your content. Thank you so much for sharing that. I'll come by and click on your Discord link in a little bit.
But
bye everyone.
yeah, I'll see you guys later. Thank you all for stopping by. See ya.